And then a business plan is crucial, so that partners will complement each other. Too often you get two individuals that are working in the same business that are at odds together, and that's not the way to do things. They need to complement each other and not tear each other down or the business apart, if that's the case. If you have individuals in your business relationship that don't level set, it's like putting a donkey and an ox together on a plow. They'll struggle and strain against each other, and that's no good. They're not smart enough, to look for how the differences can be used. The four things that oxen and donkeys don't do that would help them succeed are communicate well, seek to improve the relationship, clarify expectations, and synergize knowledge. So a business plan is crucial. Sometimes a great transition may mean minimizing the transition. Sean actually, taught me that, and I write about that in my first book. Minimizing transition can happen by planning and organizing. And that's why a business plan is so important. Organization happens when someone puts themselves really in a state of mental competence, so that they can perform the task. Planning happens when a method for the commitment to change is developed in advance, and that's part of the business plan. So, and an example of a business plan that you would have in there is business continuity planning. BCP, automatic data processing, they were masters of this. They would go as far as to have separate work sites, and they were fully mirrored. They had the practical real-time data going from one region to another in case of a catastrophic event. At one facility, they could literally from one moment to the next pick up and move to another different region and process. So that's business, continuity planning. Essentially, they moved quickly but surely from their status quo, business as usual in one facility, to their commitment to change and almost immediate move to another facility. They minimize their transition. That's really what we want to do in a lot of situations, by developing methods and competencies, in advance. A BCP also can happen, although really most times it doesn't in a small business. And that's something that we'll teach the refugees, through this course. Especially if the owner dies or becomes disabled, the business ends, if they don't have some type of business continuity planning. By not having a BCP, the owner is essentially saying, I don't know what's going to happen to you when we're dead. Even with our children, with our life, we had a legacy meeting with our children and said, here's our trust, and here's how it's gonna run down. There's not going to be any questions when we're dead. That's kind of a business continuity plan. This is how we expect you to carry on. That BCP starts at a small business by building a management team, a team that really builds up other leaders. And that follows a well-defined vision, using a really good process, including procedures, contact information, all that grainy stuff. And with a BCP, the people that are left behind have put themselves in a state of mental competence. So they know what's going to happen next. And they can perform the tasks. They can keep the business running. And all that is very important. And they developed a method and a commitment to change to do that in the first place. So prepare yourself for a plan. Plan and then prepare a plan to never go back to the status quo. You don't want to go where you came from. Don't run away from it, because what you run away from, you run into. Run to something good, but don't ever go back, and don't look back.